Yeah, you can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest.
You could beat the world, you could beat the war, you could talk to God, go banging on his door.
It's Friday night. You know what that means. High school football. Terry Rabbit's here. It's time for WZIP Sports Friday Night Lights Preview Podcast. This week we're going to take a look at the Wadsworth Grizzlies hosting the Nordonia Knights. Wadsworth comes into this game at 7-2, 4-2 within the conference. Nordonia 9-0, 6-0 in the conference, looking for that elusive undefeated season. First, let's take a look at the Wadsworth offense here. Their offense basically runs through one guy, Dan Weinerman. He's got 1,600 yards rushing. When you add in his receiving and his returns, 1,942 yards, 17 total touchdowns this year. He's a 5'8", 175 junior. He's going to have one more year. Wadsworth fans are happy about that. He has 5 games this year, folks, of 200 yards plus. Not 1 or 2, 5. When he's not pounding the ball at you, they have another running back, Shane Mast, and he's averaging just under 10 yards a carry. Unbelievable to go through a season and be a regular and average just under 10 yards a carry. Their quarterback, Adam Dennison, doesn't throw much. This is a running team. He only has 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year. He only averages about 86 yards a game, but he completes 58% of his passes. He's not going to lose you a game, and that's what's important when you have a running attack like this one. The wide receiver, Nick Hewitt, is his favorite target. He's got half of the touchdowns on the year. Dan Weinerman has 2 of the other ones. So basically, that is the Wadsworth offense. If they block well, get that running game going tonight, they have a very powerful offense. On the other side of the ball, Nordonia, really this year they've only played one close game. In week 1, they beat Mayfield 36-35. You look at it and say, what do they have to play for tonight? That undefeated season, number 1. Number 2, they've already clinched a home game in the playoffs, but they can improve their seeding. And believe it or not, that seeding means a lot. Offensively, quarterback David Murray, 6'3", 200 pounds, senior. He has thrown for over 2,200 yards this season, 33 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. Unbelievable. 67% of his passes are complete. You're going to have those kind of figures when you have somebody by the name of Denzel Ward that you can throw to. Denzel is already committed to Ohio State. He is a wide receiver / cornerback for this team. He's got 13 of those touchdowns, 745 of those yards. He's 5'11", 165, and this boy can move. He is fast, and he plays on both sides of the ball. What he's going to do down at Ohio State, I'm not sure yet, but I'm looking forward to watching him on Saturdays. On the other side of the field, you got Alex Alders, who is the other wide receiver for the night. He's got 8 touchdowns. This is the big target. He's 6'2", 205, so he's going to haul in a lot of those passes. David Murray has a great asset on the front line here. Cameron Bell. He is 6'8", 330 pounds. He's already committed to Toledo, and this man can block. He has, I was watching some film on him today. Great movement on his feet. Again, this is going to be a guy that you're going to hear about later on. Even going to Toledo, I think this guy's going to make a mark. Let's look on the defensive side of things here. For Wadsworth, basically they got 3 guys that kind of stick out for me. Their strong safety, Kyle Kemple. He leads them in tackles and interceptions. They have a linebacker named Will Rock. He's second in tackles, but leads them in the forced fumbled category with 3. And then linebacker Mason Eggleston. He's third in tackles and has 4 of those for loss, and that leads the team. The team has 11 interceptions as a team. Nobody has more than 2, but they kind of spread it out. Everybody is able to cover. It's not a bad defense. Just need them. If you're running the ball very well, then you only need your defense in there for a few minutes. On the defensive side of the ball for Nordonia, again, another loaded side of the ball for Nordonia. First of all, during the summer and in the preseason, they lost Nick Grayson to a knee injury. You would have thought that was going to devastate this team, but they've had people just step up. First of all, there's Justice Alexander, a defensive end, 6'6", 238, already signed to go to Michigan State. He's got 6 sacks on the year. He's got 9.5 tackles for loss. He is all over the place. It's going to be interesting if you see at all if Bell and Alexander go up against each other. I think that would be a premier matchup to see who would win. On the other side, you have Vincent Hudson. Vincent wasn't expected to play this year too much because of Nick Grayson, but he has filled in phenomenally. He's got 5.5 sacks, and he's got 10.5 tackles for loss this year. When you look at the secondary, like I said earlier, Denzel Ward, who also plays wide receiver, is the top cornerback. He leads his team with 8 interceptions, folks. 9 games, 8 interceptions. That is great. But there's also 2 safeties here. Connor Olzak, who has 13.5 tackles. And then you also have Alex Alders, who's also playing safety as well as wide receiver. Got a lot of guys that play both sides of the ball for this team, and they do it well. Really, this is a matchup that both teams have clinched their spot in the playoffs. It's important for Wadsworth because it would be another quality opponent beat, and if they were to win this game, they could clinch a home field playoff game for that first round. That is very important. Like I said, with Nordonia, they've already clinched a home playoff game, but they can improve their seeding with a win here tonight. Nordonia is in Division 2, Region 4, and right now in the playoffs, they are the number 3 seed. It would be nice to move up to number 2, maybe even number 1 with the win. Like I said earlier with Wadsworth, their 2 losses are to both teams that are headed to the playoffs. On paper, this looks like a mismatch, with some of the stats and everything else. I don't think it's going to be that much of a mismatch. What kind of concerns me tonight is the weather forecast. They're calling for it to be cold, windy, rainy. At that point, usually that favors the team with a running game, which would be Wadsworth. Not saying that Nordonia doesn't have a running game, but they do rely on the pass a lot more than what the Grizzlies do. We're going to see if that weather plays a factor in this game. All right, well, that's going to start wrapping it up here. This has been your Friday Night Lights preview podcast. And for a last prediction for the regular season, I'm going to say this one stays close for a little while, but I think Nordonia is going to pull it out in the end. We're going to go with 30-20. With your Friday Night Lights preview podcast, I'm Terry Rabbits.
Don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you go find yourself.